Hello everybody, welcome back to Football Manager Projects, and it's time for a new save. This save is going to be done in hardcore mode, and I'm going to tell you what the rules are here. So unlike many other Football Manager saves, this is not going to be the type of save where we look at a bunch of fancy looking star ratings and look for players with the best attributes and then play 30, 40, 50 seasons as quickly as possible. We're doing it differently here. We're going to slow it way down, and we're doing it with no stars and no attributes. We're going to do everything realistically. We're going to start off very realistically. I will have no experience and not really much standing with my players or with anybody. There's no downloaded tactics allowed, which means that I'm going to have to figure something out. I'll have to come up with something on my own, I guess. Maybe you can help me. A couple of other rules that are not the way I play the game, but might be the way that you play the game. We're going to use a director of football. I'm not certain how much trust I'm going to put in his decisions and in his signings, but I'm not going to part ways with him at the beginning of the game like I usually do. We are also going to use a loan manager. I like to personally take control of loans myself, but it's a really, really time-consuming aspect of the game to try to get guys loaned out at the right price. We're going to have somebody do that for us this time around. Thanks in large part to the recent Lelujo video, I'm going to let the scouts take care of themselves. It means that our chief scout is going to be in charge of scouting, and I'm not going to have that hands-on role that many of us like to have. I'm not going to do any player searching, and I'm not going to do any searching for staff. We're going to do this all realistically. We're going to keep it hands off. We're going to let the staff members and those who have the experience do the things that they have experience with. Of course, we want to keep our finances balanced within reason. I put this rule down because I want to stop myself from doing that thing that so many of us are tempted to do, where you use your team and its finances like an unlimited credit card and figure, well, we'll buy the player today and we'll pay for him over the next 3 years. We'll pay for him next year, something like that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to put the team in debt because we wanted to get that 20 million euro striker that we thought looked great. None of that's going on. We're doing this all realistically. Now, there are a couple of things that I will allow. I'm not going to download tactics, but I'm going to consult the work that others have already done on Football Manager tactics, and especially on the thought process that goes into it and the mentality. We'll have a little bit more of that tomorrow as we look at the tactic that we're going to try to put forward and the approach that we're going to take. I'm also going to allow myself to use other things that others have come up with, right? You know about Lelujo with the ideas about corners, putting the big guys up close and just kicking the ball at them. We're going to do a little bit of that. I'm also going to use Max's work at Evidence-Based Football Manager on the training system. And we're going to try to take some of these theories and we're going to try to make them reality. So that's what it is. It's hardcore Football Manager. It's Football Manager with hardcore, full-on realism. It's in-your-face Football Manager. This is different than maybe anything else that you'll see out there. That's why we have the Hardcore Punk shirt on too, right? Hardcore Punk, Hardcore Football Manager. And with that, we'll give you a quick look here what we're looking at. So our team is FC Ingolstadt in the Dritte Bundesliga. The recently relegated FC Ingolstadt, I'll say. You may have heard me say this before in other videos and refer to this in my blog. FC Ingolstadt is the team that I fell in love with back in Football Manager 2021. They were also in the Dritte Bundesliga then, and were pretty easy to get promoted up to the next level. In real life, unfortunately, last season they had a real hard go of it in the Zweite Bundesliga. They gave up the second most goals in the league, and they scored the least goals in the league, and lost a lot of players along the way. You can see we have some issues here. Team cohesion is awful. The club atmosphere is very, very poor. Nobody supports me, but I'm not too surprised about that since I have absolutely no experience and barely any idea of what it is that I'm doing. We have a good-looking overall team balance, but no transfer budget, which means that we're going to have to lose to bring players on. And as I'll show you tomorrow, we're going to start selling some players. Now, some interesting things about how this is going to work. Let's take a quick look here at Tobias Schröck, who is our team leader and our favorite central midfielder, defensive central midfielder, that is. Look at this. You will see that there are no star ratings anywhere. There's nothing in terms of star ratings, nothing to tell us which role he prefers to play, nothing. Now, we can do comparisons. We can see how he looks against I don't know, this Johannes Birkel, who's 18 years old, but it doesn't give us any numbers. We're going to have to sort of take a look at this and figure out what's going on. We're going to have to use our intuition a lot, and what we're really going to have to use is we're going to have to use these coach reports. We're going to have to read these very, very carefully for every single player that we have. And we're going to have to think about things like, is this person a leading player for most Dritte Bundesliga sides? Or is this player a player who barely belongs in this division? Or is this somebody who we should just sell? Is this somebody that we have really no use for anymore? When we look quickly at the club information, we can see some of the problems here. The biggest one, so Audi Sportpark is relatively new, built in 2010. I mean, the club itself was built in 2004. The capacity here in Audi Sportpark is only 15,000, which is a problem. I know this from playing with this team in prior versions of Football Manager. You can have success with the team, but it's going to take a while for the park to be expanded to the point where you can get the crowd in that you really need to get. Ingolstadt itself is not a really big city. Doesn't tell you on this on here, but Ingolstadt's got a population of about 120,000, and it's sort of right in between big cities, similar to Augsburg, which is where I lived for a couple of years. Ingolstadt to Augsburg is actually a pretty quick train ride, but I would imagine that most of the 120,000-ish who live in Ingolstadt probably are working in München. We're going to have a tricky time trying to attract good talent away from the likes of Bayern München and so on. So we will see what happens with this. What is the board looking for us? Well, the board wants us to work within that little wage budget that we have. Should be okay. They want automatic promotion to the Zweite Bundesliga. And they also want us to play attacking football. That tells me we're going to have to attack. We're going to have to sign some young players. We're going to have to do the best that we can to push this team along and to have some success with them early on, which means that my neck is on the line if we're not able to do it quickly. We'll see what happens. The press thinks that we have a very good-looking side. They have us picked for second, the best player on our team happens to be probably the best player in the league, this Muslio, who right now just so happens to be injured. We're going to have to do a couple of things regarding some of the talent that we have. We're going to need to move some players along. So we have quite a road ahead of us. I'm going to go probably a little bit slower through this transfer season than what you're used to seeing on YouTube. We're going to take it slowly. We're going to take it in a way that allows us to really get to know the players, and we're going to enjoy ourselves while this happens. The goal here is not for breadth, it's for depth. And we'll try to give you as much depth as we can. If you like that, please leave a like down below, leave a comment for me, and subscribe so you see more videos. And check out the link below in the description and check out my blog. We're changing things up on the blog, and we have more of a Football Manager story set up. Hope you enjoy it. I'm telling you, this is going to be a different project than anything you've seen before. And I will see you tomorrow.